Hi everyone, hope you guys are doing great. In today's video, we are going to create a small financial dashboard app using Next.js. And we are going to use an existing source code which is provided by Next.js. The main reason and the main objective is to get ourselves well equipped with the Next.js features and how quickly we can create a specific application. So without further ado, let's dive into the VS Code. So I have VS Code with me, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to use npm install -g pnpm. There are two things. One is a node package manager, which you are already aware of. This is used to like download and install all the node packages. And there is a PNP. PNP stands for Performant Node Package Manager. Why it is called performant? The reason is that it is a bit fast, and instead of duplicating all the packages, it somehow manages a sort of links to the existing downloaded packages. So you can think that it's somehow referencing the existing packages in a way. It's very fast and takes less space on the your system. So let's use this PNPM. As I already have it, so it's a bit quick. The second thing that we are going to use is npx. So again, npx is sort of a node package executor which installs a specific node which executes without installing each and everything. So we are going to use this, and what we are trying to do using this, we are going to use a create package like npm npx create dash next dash app at latest. So what we are trying to do, we are trying to create a Next.js application, and what we are the name we are going to say to this is Next.js dashboard, and we'll call this as an example. And then we are going to use a specific source. So let me just open the repository which have been like provided by. Just give me a minute. Let me just. So here is a starter app or starter example, which is being provided by the Next.js itself, the company Vercel that have created Next.js. So we are going to use this exact like GitHub repo. The reason is that there are so many things which are already being installed or placed over here. So let me just copy it, just shift insert. So shift insert will eventually insert the URL over here. Let's just do add a comment in the back. So, so you can see I'm going to execute an npx command, which is going to create a Next.js application. And over here, you can see this is the application which is going to be installed. So let me just clear this. It will take a while. So let me just pause it. Okay, I just canceled like installing or creating that, and one piece I have missed because I need to use this option use dash pnpm. Otherwise, it might use the existing uh, npm. So now let me just do this. So make sure you use this as well. So let me just run that. So it's going to download from the depot. It's going to take a while. So with this being like downloaded, so let's just go to the actual let me just move to the Next.js dashboard. So basically, this is the dashboard we are going to use. Let me just open it. So it is going to get open over here. So So you can see we have our app with us, and over here, as we are going to use pnpm, so we are going to use certain pnpm commands. So rather than exploring the project, I always prefer to start running it. So let's just use pnpm dev. Let's just try running it and quickly see what we get, and then we'll be discussing further. So I just run pnpm dev, and in the meantime, like this app is going to start, we can quickly discuss what like this project itself is. You can see there is a app folder. Okay, just hold on. We'll come back to this. You can see on localhost 3000, we have our app running, and we'll quickly see to it what we got over here. So you can see this is the basic Acme financial app, which have been provided to us by Next.js, and we'll further improvise it in the like when we move further in the video. So with this being open, let's just move to this. Okay, so you can see we have the app folder ours with us. So within the app, there are like all the routes, components, and all the logics for your application. We'll be discussing one by one what are the routes, what are components, and what sort of logic we are going to use. Then we have a folder. You can see the lib folder itself is a nested one. This is sort of library, and basically it contains functions used in our applications. If I can quickly show you, there might be a specific export type. This one is the type, and if I go to utils, so you can see different export constants. And if I go to the data, let me just, okay, you can see export async function. So library itself is containing specific functions and sort of data fetching utility, or specific utility functions. Then we have the UI. I'll be discussing UI first. It contains all the UI components, all the components which are going to be displayed, such as cards, tables, and forms. So what actually Next.js have did for us, they have created some components and provided it this to us to quickly see and try to build things rather than creating each and everything from scratch. So this way we can get a good grasp of Next.js. So with this being done, do have a public folder. It do contain sort of a like a static I would say assets, like any images or something. So you can see over here. Then we have like config files. So let's just go to the if I just close this, and let me just go to the layout.tsx page. So in Next.js app, basically the layout.js is, you can think of this as a master file. So this is the basic file. You can see over here the HTML is there and the body is being there. So each and every page is getting rendered inside this layout. So think of this as a master and think of this as a page. So this page itself is going to get rendered inside the layout. One more thing, Next.js is based on top of React framework, but React follows a different routing mechanism, whereas in Next.js we do have file-based routing. What does it mean? Like inside the app folder, what does it search for? It search for a layout file and then page. So layout itself is a root file, and inside that pages are getting nested. But if I see further inside the UI, you can see if I go to the customer, let's say, or let me just go to something else, not this one. Let me just try getting anything else. Okay, go to the dashboard, the invoices. I think, okay. Okay, there could be a provisioning of page. I can't see that right away, but we'll be discussing later down the road. But you can think of this as like this as the master and this page is getting rendered inside this. With this being said, what we are going to do, we are going to start using the CSS file. One more thing, if I quickly show you, like a tailwind CSS is being used, and if you can see within the config, tailwind CSS itself is a, you can think of it as a CSS framework which use different naming conventions for the CSS classes, and you will get to know as we move further. So with this being said, one more missing piece over here is that we do not have a style in our application. So let's just try import. Import is used to like reference or add anything which is part of the project or any other library, but still not being included on this page. What we are going to do, we are going to use @, and then we are going to use app folder. Inside the app folder, what we have with us UI, and then we have a inside that we have a global.css file. If I can quickly show you inside this you can see this is the global CSS. What we are trying to do, we are trying to import this, and let me just save it. Let's see what is actually going to happen over here. So you can see just the inclusion of this CSS file have helped us refine things. The reason is that in this layout, not this layout one, but in the page, you can see there are so many classes. Again, against against the class name, we do have different tailwind classes being included. So each and everything got properly rendered. We will be discussing those in detail. But as of now, as you are like just starting this Next.js, so think of this that importing CSS from a global perspective over here is fine, and inside that global global CSS you can see the tailwind have been included. So this is one thing. Now let's just move further and go to the page.tsx. And what we are trying to do, we are trying to somehow get used to of a CSS class within tailwind. So what we are going to do, we are going to simply use a div. Let me just try to add something over here. So let me just add a div, and inside that div I'm going to use the class name. With a class name, I'm going to use certain like tailwind classes, and might not be explaining each and everything in detail right now, but you'll get an idea what we are going to do using this. So we are using relative, and with a width of 0 and a height of 0, we are trying to create an element, and then we are going to use a border dash length with around like 15. Let me just add that 15 pixel, and let me just close this. The border radius, border dash radius dash again 15 pixel. You'll get an idea what I'm trying to do. We are trying to achieve a sort of a rectangle using the CSS classes rather than using an image. We are trying to create a rectangle. So let me just use the border dash b dash, and this time we are going to use 236 pixel, and then we have a border dash dash transparent. And what else we do have? Border dash r dash transparent. And one more thing is the border dash b dash black. So let's see what actually happens when we have this div inside. You can see over here a triangle is being there. If I then I have the reason I just written all these right away just to show help or showcase this to you. If I remove this, let's say black, so you can see a light grayish sort of rectangle is there. So what actually happens within the CSS, if we do have an object which have a width of 0 and height, and somehow we modify or to have border length of these 15 pixels and the radius of this and the breadth is this. So we can create a specific triangle. So using this CSS class, we not just like style elements, we can create certain sort of elements like box or certain other thing. The one more thing, if I can try doing this, let me just try removing this and see what actually happens. So you can see something else have been made. Instead of a triangle, we have just removed the width and the height, and you can see we are getting something else. So this is just to showcase you what we are going to use and how effectively we can use this tailwind CSS. So with this being done, instead of tailwind CSS, we can easily use the specific CSS module as well. So let's just try adding a specific module over here. Let me just add a file within the UI, and I'm going to name this file home.module.css, and inside that we are going to use this specific CSS. Let me just try adding it within this module CSS. I'm going to add a specific class. So I'm going to add a shape class with a height of 0, width, and so you can see this is somewhat similar thing, but this time instead of using the tailwind, we are trying to use it using the normal CSS. So let me just move forward. Or let me just try to import that. So if I quickly go to this image, basically this was a div which we have added. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to import the style. Yeah, and from where, what we are going to like, we have created the module inside the app UI, and what we are going to call home dot. Okay, so not this. Let me just use this name. UI is complaining. Okay, it says it's never been used. So, okay, we will use it in a while. So let's just copy this and let me just use this class name. And what we are going to do, we are going to use this style dot shape. Just give me a minute. Let me just comment this out, or either remove it altogether. So let me just save it. And if I go to this thing, some issue. What's the issue? Let me just quickly try to fix it out. STYLE else STYLE. Since something. Let me just remove this because we are referencing it from our app. So let me just remove this and let's just see what we are like having. Let me just close this, try running once again, and let me just try running this. So some reason it's not pulling it up. So let's see what actually happens. Either the file is not imported or not else. Okay, so you can see we have used the simple CSS. So this is basically a module based CSS file. So this help us avoid any collision between the different modules. But you can see instead of this using tailwind, a simple CSS have been used, and over here inside the page we have used this simple class name by importing that. This is just a way to showcase you how we can effectively use both. So let's just move forward. Now we will be discussing a bit about font optimization and font and text optimization. What actually happens when we try to use a custom font. So what actually happens when we use custom font? So our application just references that like font. I can reference one. Let's say we are using Google font. So what actually happens when our application load for the first time? It just try to go and load the font from the Google font CDN. So instead of doing this, what Next.js does, Next.js at the time of compilation, when you are making application ready for the production, what it does download the like font file at the build time and then host it with your static assets. So with this being done, it makes the application a bit fast and your fonts are already available within your application. So let's try adding a font. So go to the UI, and within the UI I'm going to add a new file and I'm going to name this fonts.ts. So basically we are going to import a specific font over here. So let's just try importing one, and you can see I'm going to use enter font because I am going to refer it from next font Google, next slash font slash Google. So with this being done, and what I need to do, I need to use export constant, and I am naming it as enter is equals to, and then referencing this and subset. One more thing is the subset. So what's the reason of using a subset? There might be a possibility that among a specific font you might need certain subsets. So rather than using or downloading all, we are just using a sort of a subset. So only Latin will be part of this font. This way our like file size is going to be reduced and only we will be having those fonts which we actually need. So let's just try, once we have like created this font, try importing this inside the app layout. So we are going to the app and the layout. Again, I would try reiterating that this is the actual master file. So what we are going to do over here, we are trying to import the, enter font from at like UI slash fonts. Let me just save it. And what it's saying, okay, it's not still used. And then let's just add to the body the class name, and we are going to call this the dollar, and then we are going to use this enter dot class name. There might be a possibility like you might not grasp each and everything right away, but the actual objective and agenda of this video is to get yourself quickly up and running for a like Next.js application. So at least you can create one, get an idea how the structure works and how small nitty-gritties works together. And then these type of things, if you don't know what like anti-alias is or anything else, so you don't feel overwhelmed by this. So this is the reason I'm suggesting. Let me just try saving it and see if it something have been changed. So we have just included the font, and with the font being included, we can easily apply those font inside that. What does anti-alias do? It does smoothen your font. So just for the sake of like the reasoning, so you can think that it's just smoothen your font. So moving further, there is Another way, like as we have just created the UI and font, so not just a single font, we can add a secondary font as well. So let's just add this Lusitana. So what we are going to do, we are going to import this again. Previously only enter was there, and then over here we are using this, and again for the sake of subset we are going to use the const, and this time we are going to call it Lusitana. And what we are going to use from Lusitana, and we are going to provide this with weights, like what sort of weight we do require. And let me just add two sort of, so let's just add this, and sorry, I don't know, okay, and this one. So this is weight, and again subset on the same line as we have like previously added for enter. So let's just use the Latin one. Let's just add Latin. So with this being done, let's just try closing this. So we have a secondary font with us as well. And let's just on the page. So basically what we have done previously over here, we have used the enter font, and inside the page, what we can try doing, we can try importing this Lusitana font from UI fonts. Okay, so it's just being imported, and let's just add a p tag and see if you already have one. So let's just try adding it over here. So let me just add this tilde, and inside that the dollar one, and the Lusitana dot class name. So this one, this way we can use those, not just class name. Let me just see one thing, Lusitana itself. Okay, so class name we can do. Just give me a minute. Okay, I was doing one thing now. I was trying to use a separate this like tilde. So I have to use this Lusitana inside this. So let's just add dollar and the Lusitana dot class name. So you can see this have been like implemented. And let me just quickly go to this. So you can see on the page, the secondary font have been like applied. This time we are not very much focused. We are just trying to see how it could have been like used. So that's one thing. One more thing, what we are going to do inside this page, let's just try to find a tag. Yeah, let me just uncomment this and see what actually happens. So this is the logo, and let's just try doing one thing. If I remove this, what actually happens? Let me just remove this altogether. Let me just add it back. Let me just uncomment this too. So you can see we are somehow able to use the font, but as we move along, we will see what sort of components these are, and then we will move forward. So this was just one thing that was related to the font. The second thing we are going to discuss is related to the image optimization. So what actually an image is? So whenever we used to like create an image, we do use a sort of a img tag. So like somewhat like this, and it itself do have a source, and which is the file location, and then we have alternate text if for some reason the file fails to load. So this is the basic way of using image. But what actually happens when we use this HTML based image, we have to like make certain for some like things, like we need to make our image responsive on different screens on our own. So basically if the size is different, so we have to cater to that on our own. And if there is a layout shift is happening due to the image getting loaded a bit delayed, so what actually happens, the whole layout gets shifted and we need to take care of that as well. So even lazy loading, we need to like keep track of that. Let's say if the image is not within the viewport. What does a viewport means? Like if a user have seen a screen and they're like think of that screen as a like 2 pages long, and if the user is viewing on the first page, so loading the other items on the like second page or the third page might not be very efficient way of doing. So what does lazy loading says? Lazy loading says when the page 2 or page 3 came into view, then those images are going to be loaded. So this way efficient loading the your this way using this efficient loading, your application remains a bit fast and things are getting loaded very quickly. So with this being done, or with this being said, there is another way which Next.js have provided to us. Next itself have created a component of image, and what it have done, it have optimized all the like shortcomings which I have discussed in a like right now. So they have catered all these. So let's just quickly go to the app and the page, and let's just try to import the image from Next.js. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use import, and this time image from next slash image. So next image, I have just imported that, and then I can easily use that. So let me just try to place this image somewhere. Now let's just place it here before this div. And I'm going to call this image. So you can see now we have the image component with us, and the source is going to be somewhat similar. There is sort of like hero desktop dash dot png image available with us, which we are going to use. And instead of this, it should be like this. So let me just close this. And what else? This is the image, and alternate text, we need to add that. So alt text, and what we are going to do, we are going to specify width. So basically this is the width of sort of an actual image. Let's just say provide this too. So when the image itself is getting like loaded, or Next.js is taking care of that, it do have an idea what was the actual height and width of that image is. Then we are going to use a specific class name. What we are going to do, we are going to keep it hidden, and on medium device it is going to be block. So basically on like small devices, it we can remove or hide that, and on like bigger devices we keep displaying it. So let's just try and see what actually happens. Seems like something is missing. Import next with, okay, so seems like, let me just try to fix it up. And the image, okay, I think this should be this one. Let me just try to figure out. Okay, so let me just, you can see this image is being displayed. I think I need to place it in something, right place. Let me just figure it out. Let me just go over here and what it actually is. Okay, basically Next.js have provided certain things. Let me just cut this image from here. This should not be added over here, otherwise it will disturb the layout. You can see Next.js have added certain like comments, add hero image over here. So we are trying to use it over here and we'll see it might look a bit better now. So let me just try to save it, try refreshing it. So you can see the image is in the right place. So now we can see the image is there. Let me just try changing this to something different. So you can see when I switched to mobile or like a small device, image is gone. But when we are switching to a desktop mode, so you can see the image is there. So this is basically being achieved using this hidden and MD. So on a medium like sort of devices, so it's block. On a small devices, it's hidden. So this was just one way of showcasing this. So what actually like happens, we can some on a somewhat similar lines, we can achieve this on, let me just copy this. Let me just quickly show you another thing. Let me just add another hero. Instead of desktop, let me just add mobile. And this time I'm going to use a different because this image is a bit shorter. And let me just use block over here and then MD hidden. So let me just use MD colon hidden over here. So let me just quickly show you. Over here, you can see a small image is being displayed, and you can see the image is particularly relevant to the mobile one. When I switch to this, you can see this is a different image. Here we do have our desktop as well, and you can see both are like different images. So this way we can use sort of not just responsiveness, but we can render optional or different images on different devices. So this is just one way of doing this. So hopefully you are like following along with me. So let me just move forward and see. Okay, so I'll be keeping this video over here and we'll be releasing the subsequent parts later because it's already crossed 30 minutes. So I'll try to keep it till here, and then in the upcoming videos I'm going to add further like in for this dashboard, and hopefully you are able to follow along with me. And if you think there are some piece missing or certain thing more things needs to be added or something which is I'm skipping or not adhering to, so please feel free to leave a comment, and in the subsequent parts I'm going to like add further details inside the layouts, how to interact with the database and how to deploy the app as well. So stay tuned for the upcoming videos. Thanks for watching. Bye.